What's good, one and all? This is the Peace Dealer. It's your boy, and we're on another exciting episode of Peace Talk, episode 78. This is the Peace Dealer. It's your boy, back. Yeah, as you know, we do this series to interview usually YouTube personalities, spiritualists. We're taking it a little bit different this episode. This is a friend I've known for a few years now.
Like 10. I think around this time is when we met too, 10 years ago.
10 years ago, yeah, like damn, it would be October. What's good, Dominic? How you
What up?
doing?
What up? I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm good.
Word, yeah. My sleep schedule has been crazy.
I'm trying to make mine better. I'm trying to sleep more, like when I'm supposed to, but I'm just a nocturnal person, and then I have like early morning like practice or weight training. So I'll
Wait, so
myself.
you wake up early even though you stay up late?
Yeah, like I think it was like Tuesday morning. I woke up at 4:45, but I didn't go to bed until like 1:15.
What? Yeah, that's some superhuman stuff. I don't understand people like you. Like,
No, it's so bad because I was like, if I go to sleep now, I can get 5 hours. If I go to sleep now, I can get 4 hours, and it's like I end up getting like 3.5 hours of sleep.
I can't. But I don't even know how people can sleep for like 3 hours. Like what?
It's like nap taking. So like I came back in from weight training and I ended up sleeping for like another hour. Like I fell asleep for an hour or something. So it's like my sleep is broken up pretty much. It's been like that for about 8 years now. I sleep in like intervals.
Interesting. Let me make sure something.
It's broken up pretty much. It's been like that for about.
Oh, I want to make sure that wasn't an echo. But yeah, man, like I sleep and that's 6 hours gone. 6 to 10 hours gone.
I wish I could sleep for at least 6 hours straight, but I can't. I always get up.
Yeah, like I don't understand you people who like once you get up you can't go back to sleep. Like how? I don't know what's up with that. I guess it has to do with just training yourself to get up over and over. That's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, man. For those who aren't aware, I met Dominic in the University of Maryland. I tried my hand out at the track team to do some running, and that's where I met him, yo. And it was really dope. I think I wish I remember the other dude that was there, and then Lisa ran track. Right? Yeah.
Lisa is because you came with Lisa, and I was like super interested. Like as soon as I saw her, I was like, you know, it's wild. I think she's a Scorpio too, and that's how we hit it off. But I don't mess with Scorpio anymore. I learned my lesson long ago.
Oh yes, we're gonna talk about that. I almost forgot. We got to. Apparently, Dominic has cracked the code on Scorpio women. So
and Aquarius women. I don't rock with either.
I didn't know you dropped the axe on Aqua too. So.
And Virgo women are on the list too. So like Scorpio, Virgo, and Aquarius women. Just I'm not rocking, B.
Watch out, Virgo. You already come up on the most.
I've got my eye on them all.
All right, that's what's up. Yeah, and that's what I didn't realize Lisa was a Scorpio. That's really interesting. But yeah,
I think her birthday's like November 3rd. Yeah, our connection was like heavy from the start, but then she ended up dating someone else because life likes to troll me like that. But we were like still close. But then she joined a sorority, and after that, she kind of changed, and like she even broke up with her boyfriend, and like it was funny because like he was kind of like a diet version of me, so I always found that funny.
A night version?
A diet, like sugar free. Like if I'm Coke, he's like Coke Zero.
Dominic Light or yeah. Great value, Dominic. I got you.
Walmart brand Dominic. Word. Word, exactly.
Yeah, no what? Okay, that's really really interesting. That's good. Yeah, I do remember. It was dope how like you. I think there was that theme like you constantly you don't necessarily let well no let me just rephrase that. Yeah, your speed is impressive and your work ethic. That's one thing about you that I thought was dope. I mean, you're still at it 10 years later, you know what I'm saying?
I know. I'm wild for that. A lot of people are retired by now. And like with me, it's just like I won't quit until like I've gotten like at least to the tippy toe tip of it. Like, like the peak of the iceberg. I just won't stop. And I don't know why. I think it's a form of insanity.
Scorpio. Scorpios are kind of insane too. I don't know.
Oh,
What
Scorpio is insane. At least I'm like a Scorpio without the like toxic aspects of most Scorpio people. Cause like you know how everyone pretty much hates like Scorpio, and it's because Scorpio are very powerful, but just as how powerful their good aspects are, is how powerful their bad aspects are.
yeah, it's extreme like that. Honestly,
It's very polar.
something happened recently. It's like Scorpio's bad reputation got taken over by
My
Aries.
Gemini.
Gemini and Air. Well, I was gonna say definitely Gemini. Gemini is like already a given, but Aries and Leo, they coming for that spot too. Like they just, I don't know why.
Aries are crazy high octane asses. That's why, and people are just tired of it. It's like relax for like one moment, just relax.
You don't have to try to fight everyone in the room, Aries, and beat up for somebody just because you got mad. We see.
It is like Leo. I think people are just like irritated by the narcissism of them. That's mainly what it is. But I love Leo. AJ's a Leo, and me and him are like best friends.
Oh, I didn't know AJ's a Leo. AJ's cool as hell. That's who I was talking about that I said I didn't remember. AJ.
Oh yeah, AJ. Yeah, he's still training with me too, and that's because he's just as psycho as I am. So
you're both fixed signs. There we go.
Yeah.
This is good. So, what are your big three? So, you're a Scorpio. What's your moon and rising?
Moon Pisces, of course. So I'm always in the fucking dream realm, and Aquarius rising. So that's why I can really see the truth behind Aquarius and Aquarius woman. It's like no one sees how evil you are, but I do because you're my rising, and I know how dark and evil I can be. So like,
that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of people coming out now that are like, you guys have no idea. Like, Aquarius is really evil. Like, women are like, I won't date Aquarius men anymore. And then,
yeah. I see so much Aquarius men slander. I'm like, wow, what happened?
The thing is, Gemini will be a fuckboy from the get-go. You never know about Aquarius till it's too late because that's like
they hide it so well. They hide all their toxic elements so fucking well because they're so tactful and like, oh my god. And then with like, Scorpio women, they don't hide shit. Like they'll let you know just how fucking toxic they are from the beginning, but they're so fucking alluring and like mesmerizing. You can't help yourself. It's like
you in.
Yeah, flame, and like you just have to touch it. That's Scorpio woman. They're the pretty blue flame you can't keep your fucking hands out of. And I'm smart now. Like I got burnt too many times. I'm not rocking with it, B.
No, oh my god, I can't. Okay, so this is how, and this is why I love you, Dominic. Like Dominic helped me a while ago when I was going to UTEP, and there was this Capricorn lady who had a Scorpio rising. And once I let him know he had a Scorpio rising, because I didn't know how to understand why, I was walking down the stairs and then all of a sudden she kind of just so subtly like walked down a little slower and our skin started touching. And I was like, wait, does this mean anything?
They try to trap you with physical touch. Oh my God. Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising women their fucking go-to moon is like the accident to slide next to you.
Yes.
If they're like double Scorpio, or if they're like Scorpio, Sun, Aries, like rising or moon, oh my god, they're just outright like fucking pull your hair, like touch your butt or some shit. It's just like, the fuck is your problem? But then you become addicted to your touch, and you're fucked. You're just fucked. It is what it is.
This is literally how it happened too. Like, I called Dominic, and then I'm like, she's a Scorpio rising, and all of a sudden Dominic's like, oh my god, she's goddess tier. You're screwed. Like, she has no regard for you. She's just gonna seduce you. And I was like, nah, it's not that serious. Little did I know. Little did I know. And she played it so well. It's like, on the surface, it's like, what are you talking about, Mike? But she knew what she was doing too. It was amazing. It was a good learning experience. I don't project over her.
Oh, they're wonderful learning experiences. But the thing with Scorpio suns and mostly Scorpio rising, I'm not sure about the Scorpio moon, but Scorpio suns and Scorpio rising, they see something in you that they want. And as soon as they get it and they trap you and they drain whatever it is from you, they're gone. Like, from the face of the earth. It's like they never existed. You're just like,
they just discard your carcass. Like,
yeah, it's like you could have like not came into my life. Really, like, talking to me through that Scorpio woman. What was that? 2014. Like, my friends call her she who shall not be named. Like, she's like the equivalent to Voldemort in my circle. And everyone thought she was like really cool, whatever like that. She's really smart. But she wanted me to like help her in biochem too. And I'm like, that's cool. And so, but she just kept doing that Scorpio shit. Like, she didn't know how to get help from me without trying to seduce me at the same time. And I'm just like, why? Like, you didn't have to seduce me. Like, you could have literally just asked me for help. I am a good person. I was literally just helping you. Like, you did not have to. She literally like wedged herself into my life. She blocked all other women out of my life. Like, women that I was friends with before I started talking to her, they would be around, and like later they'd be like, yeah, I didn't feel comfortable being around her. Like, she just gave me this vibe, this energy. Like, they would throw off energy to prevent other women from snatching you up. And it's like, you don't even want me though. Why are you doing this?
And it's like, once they know that you're kind of like shifting away, they come back strong. Like, oh no, I need a reason to like.
I got another story for that. I have another one. A Scorpio 2 years before her, right? This girl named Ashanti. She saw me on the track well before like we actually started talking, and then like she trapped me in. And me and her talked, and her roommate was a Scorpio woman too. Oh my god! So I had these two Scorpio women. I'm in their room. She traps me. She starts coming around. She's like, yeah, I just broke with my boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking she's single and shit's cool, right? And like, she's like to seducing me and shit. 2 weeks later, she's talking about my boyfriend this, my boyfriend that. And my boy fucking Elijah is like, Dom, I thought you said she was single. I'm like,
nigga! You hit it with that.
So I told her, I was like, for me to like get over a woman, I have to tell them exactly how I feel about them. Like, so I don't hold any cut cards when it comes to women anymore. And so I tell her I like her, and she's like, well, I don't know, I can't say anything because you know I'm in a relationship. I'm like, that's okay. Like, it's not about trying to get at you or make you break up with your boyfriend. I just gotta express myself. And so anyway, I didn't see her for like a whole week or whatever. I'm like detoxing myself of her Scorpio seductive allure.
Right.
And then she just comes busting into my room a week and a half later. Like, she knew I was getting over her toxic charm. And she just comes busting in my room, fucking being vindictive as hell once again. And like, I was just like, what the fuck? Like, why are you doing this? Like, I'm trying to get over you. Like, stay away.
There's this one meme that I saw that was all like, it's this chick, and she's like, oh, looks like he's about to get in a relationship. Time to act like I like him, even though I'm not going to date him, just so he don't see that.
They're so selfish. They just want you a part of their harem. Like, they don't fucking care. Like, they don't want to do anything with you, but they don't want anyone else to have you either. Like Scorpio women are fucking evil, but they're outright evil. So it's like you can't even be mad at they evil asses. Now Aquarius women, they're secret evil. They're quiet.
See, the whole thing about Aquarius, I respect it. It's evil genius. So
it's so tactful. It's so fucking tactful.
You never know. It's like they can help you the whole way, and then it's like they're the reason why you went through it. You will think that they're the ones helping you the whole time because they're just so intelligent. It's ridiculous. And yeah, bro, it's funny too because Scorpio men, some Scorpio men can kind of be thrown under the bus too. But I noticed, I guess, as an awkward.
Let me speak with Scorpio men.
Go for it.
The problem with Scorpio men is that we love everybody. Like we will genuinely be in love with like 4 women at one time.
Yes.
My biological father, his birthday's the day after mine, right?
Yeah.
So he, like my sister, she's like 6 months older than me. And so we're both 20. She turned 29 early. I'm about to turn 29 in a week, right? And so my mom always says that nigga's a whole liar, but like he is so good at like she was like he would treat all of his women so well, like because he was a drug dealer, like he was a big time drug dealer in DC. So he would give everyone money, like he showed everyone love, and I feel like he genuinely just is like a good, nice person, but he's a hoe, like and just
he's a hoe. That's Scorpio right there.
That's that true Scorpio shit. So.
Some Scorpio can be grimy. One that I grew up with, like he'd have no qualms having sex with your sister or your girlfriend behind your business, and then still be your friend, and you'll have no idea. Dudes under the phone.
Yeah. Like once I have sex with you, I can still be your friend. Like I don't care that we had sex. Like we just had sex. Like
no. I mean that dude would have sex with maybe like someone else's girlfriend or sister, but then be friends with that dude, and they won't know that that dude's having. You know, it's weird. I would say it's just Scorpio, but it must be another energy in him. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned about your dad because that's a theme of Scorpio. They rule the underworld, so you've clearly had that connect. You're used to that influence. It's like you can't escape it.
Not only that, I'm a Scorpio that's actually visited the afterlife. So I told you the story about like what influenced me to like go into medical science, right?
Actually, no, I wanted to ask what is it that you've studied and you have your degree? You went to HBCU, correct?
Yep, I went to Bowie State. So actually Bowie State's the first school that I went to. And then I transferred to UMD because I wanted to get into their bioengineering program. And so when I was struggling with that because of, you know, just the culture shock, the transition in my health, I went to PG Community College for a semester and a half. I stayed as long as I did because, I mean, not a semester and a half. I stayed for 3 semesters and I only stayed for like an extra semester because that summer after my second semester, I got a research experience opportunity at Howard University in material science. And so I went, they wanted me to continue it through the fall semester, and I did. And when the funding finally left out, that's when I transferred back to Bowie State. So I went from Bowie to UMD to PGCC, while at Howard, and then back to Bowie State.
Nice.
So, and then I got my degree in bioinformatics with minors in math and chemistry. And if I would have known, so the bioinformatics program was there when I was first there, but I didn't know about it because like most HBCUs, like they have terrible time at telling you what opportunities they can offer to you, which is so bad. But anyway, so what's funny is basically who became my mentor and the program director for my degree, his mentor and the person that he studied under was this doctor named Dr. Christian Anfinsen. He's a Norwegian doctor who got his Nobel Peace Prize in 1972 in protein folding. And he's also the one that's discovered chemically what is sickle cell anemia.
Okay.
So he's basically the one that discovered the protein folding problem with sickle cell anemia, and he got his Nobel Peace Prize. So my professor and mentor studied sickle cell anemia also at Johns Hopkins when that doctor was there. And thus, it's kind of like I fell into a lineage of medical scientists who study sickle cell.
And that's what inspired you to get into doing that?
No, I've been wanting to be a scientist since I was 5 years old.
Oh, sick.
And it was actually it was an astronomy class in first grade that made me be like, wow, I want to be a scientist. And then when I was 9 years old, I almost died from my sickle cell. So it was so bad. The episode I had acute chest syndrome with pneumonia. So I basically was dying. Wow. And so when it was at its worst, I told God or Allah, the universe, whatever, to kill me in my sleep. I wanted to die in my sleep that night. Mm-hmm. And so when I finally was able to doze off from the pain, it was pitch black. And then I had all these flashes of like people and events and stuff before my eyes. And it was pretty much people in my life. And I heard a voice saying, "You're not allowed to go. You're here for a reason. There's people that need you." And so when I went back into the darkness, and then when I woke up, the doctors had did tests, and they said that my condition had taken a 180 turn. And I was released like 3 days later.
Wow.
And that's when I finally like realized that my purpose was medical science.
Well,
so 2 years later, I learned about the Human Genome Project and genetic engineering, and I was like, that's what I want to do. Side note, I hate gene editing and gene engineering, and I'm not even like in that umbrella anymore. I'm still with like medical science, but I'm not under the umbrella of like genetic engineering.
And this is why I'm really glad to do this talk. A lot of my guests are usually more spiritually based, but you have a strong scientific background. Someone has already said this is their favorite peace talk. So I want to do a disclaimer. Obviously, like there's exceptions to every zodiac sign. You can find a cheater and you can find something evil in every zodiac sign. Like
I'm the Scorpio cheater.
Oh, I thought you were good. Okay, that's what's up. But it's
no, I mean, I cheat Scorpio because I somehow was able to isolate all the good aspects of Scorpio, the inquisitiveness, the detectiveness, the viewpoint of depthness, without having the toxic aspects such as manipulation, jealousy, and things like that.
Yeah, and I think your Aquarius rising lets you take the best parts of Scorpio, and then it'll put in check the negative.
Right. And also the Pisces moon.
I was going to say, so Pisces moon helps too. Okay. No wonder you love Rihanna. Rihanna got the Pisces sun.
Yeah, heads up. That's wife, like not wifey, not waifu, like actual wife. Oh, like man. Just let me get close enough, and we're getting married. Like
dude, we're putting. That's the thing. If you ever see this, hey.
Like that's the thing. I think we said before. She's like the reincarnation of Helen of Troy. She's someone. I need a woman that wants me to like take over the world. Like I need a woman that like just drives like the best aspects of me. Like if she said, "I want you to conquer the world," like I will do my damnedest to conquer the world. I saw someone say you and Drake. Now that is the epitome of an evil Scorpio. No,
Drake, right? Yo, what's up? It's funny too because he has the Cancer moon, and you have the Pisces moon. So that's like.
And I don't rock with Cancer, so that makes even more sense.
And then you're the Aqua rising, he's the Leo rising. So you guys might be like.
He's the fucking Eagle-born Dawn, like to my fucking Barry Allen.
Yo.
He's the reverse Flash to me. Don't you dare compare me to him. I can't stand him. I've always hated Drake too. Like I try to tell people he's evil. He's a fucked up individual. No one wants to listen to me. I try to tell people.
He said I'm light skinned, but I'm still a dark nigga. Like he's not hiding it. He has mob ties. Like he makes it known, guys. But anyway, yeah, this is a. Oh, what was I gonna say? I mentioned. Oh, yes. So, Dominic had told me and warned me this video is going to get a lot of downvotes and dislikes. We already have one dislike, which is like the quickest. It was when you were talking about
it was the Drake attack. It was the Drake attack
earlier, but it's cool because it balanced out. So this is already someone's favorite. Shout out to Sana Kadora, showing love. Yeah, my friend, like that's one thing that I really appreciate about you. Like you've taught me that it's cool. Like Dominic and our friendship is proof that we could have very differing viewpoints on life and still be cool. And what I appreciate about you is you're very socially conscious. You're very intelligent. So it's like I can come to you anytime I want to see. Anytime I want to see like how to say something. What happened?
I say you like it. I mean, I think it's the fact that I see the other aspect of a lot of things.
Yeah, like certain polarizing issues. I know I can get that much needed perspective and the wisdom on it. And you are a 10th house Scorpio sun, so that's like world rulership. That's that whole energy there with the aqua. So
right.
Interesting you said that. But yeah, you're versed in comics as a
and I love comics because I feel like a lot of comic book artists and authors have seen, they're like the conduits of the multiverse. Yeah. If you notice, like a big thing or a big theme in comics, especially DC comics, is the multiverse. The idea of there being multiple Earths, and we all have our equal and our equivalent, or even our opposite in these multiverses.
Yeah.
So, and like, I know you said about me being a scientist, but having like the spiritual background my spiritual background is like like deeply entwined with my scientific beliefs. Yeah. So like to break that down, you know, there's Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law is a universal law. It's basically how electrons, they're about basically the attractive forces between atomic particles, or whatever like that, right? And on a bigger scale, we see from Coulomb's law, we have the gravitational attraction between planetary bodies, such as the planet with the moon or the sun with the earth and things like that, right? So what we don't know exactly, or rather, what we don't know mathematically, is the invisible forces outside of that, the energies, basically. What science can't measure is energy in a very efficient way, and that's where we get to like quantum mechanics and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So if we have these universal laws, why isn't it out of the, like, why is it a wild thought that the positioning of these planetary bodies and the energies that they had, that they like offshoot because of these attractive forces, would influence the way things happen, you know, in everyday life, or how people themselves like interact? Like, we know there's birds that have like internalized compasses. Basically, they don't need a compass like we do. They can feel the Earth's poles and everything like that. So why is it out of the imagination for humans to be able to be receptive to the energies of other gigantic planetary or even bigger or solar bodies being influenced by those energies in their positioning?
And once again, just to reiterate, because you mentioned like how you can't really see certain facets of energy based off that, that really made me think of your Pisces moon. I feel like that Pisces is that whole unseen, non-local.
Me a cheater. I never said that I cheat. I said that Scorpio men in total, like they have this thing where they just love beauty and they love women. That's not me. I've never cheated on anyone in my life. Actually, I've only had one relationship in my whole life. Like,
it did sound like you said you were a cheater. So I think,
okay.
You said, I think you meant you cheat Scorpio instead of saying that you're a cheater, but it's all good.
Or maybe someone else. It could be language barrier, you know, or other communication barriers. It is what it is. I just wanted to speak on that real quick. But yeah, like so like my spirituality is rooted into quantum mechanics and just the calculation of energy. And that's also the viewpoint I do in biological sciences, is like my thing is biophysics and the physical interactions of these molecular molecules and everything like that. So that's why like now I'm into like nanoparticles and things of such. So,
and you know, I hate to go left field because we're gonna come back to the whole topic.
oh, I did say I'm a cheater. Oh, I meant I was cheating Scorpio. I was cheating the bad parts of Scorpio.
Yeah, there we go. That's what that is. Yeah, there we go. There we
Okay. Yeah, sorry for that that misspeaking that I took.
So one thing I really value about you guys with your scientific backgrounds, I bet it could be so annoying to see people like me or people with no scientific backgrounds talk about their opinions on like science.
Science is the one fucking thing. Science is the one thing where you're allowed to have your opinion on it, even if you have no like understanding of like science. And so it's like that's really frustrating. And
then how does it feel to get negated when you like try and explain to someone why something is and you give them facts and they're like, I don't care. That's not how I feel it is.
That's why I just stopped arguing with people. Like I rather now just let people stew in like their ignorance or whatever. And like the thing is like I have to be conscious of the fact that like we're not in a society where science is first things first. That's like there's a lot of societies current day and in the past where be it science or at least alchemy was like first things first. Like our society is built on the backings of alchemy or science and etc. But and for a time that was the US from the 30s to the 60s and 70s. Our scientists were revered, you know, scientists were like rock stars. Wow. You know, Buzz Aldrin and other astronauts and all of those scientists and astronauts and such were all backed by Black women. NASA, all of the calculations at NASA were, you know, made by Black women. And I learned that before the movie Hidden Figures came out. My engineering professor at PGCC said, yeah, NASA, all of their calculations were done by Black women. And it's like the US at one time was a science first thing. Like we were in such competition with Russia. And it's like once we got past that hump, once we got past like kind of like the 80s, I would say like the early 80s, science was still like a big thing, you know, with Back to the Future, Star Wars, like science and science fiction was such a heavy hold on the culture. But when the 90s came, or like the late 80s, early 90s, it became more about business and money and like, what should I say? Like instant gratification.
Yeah. And it's funny because all these startling discoveries scientists made, you're now seeing people like trying to overturn it, like screw what NASA says in the pictures, the Earth is flat, or you know, screw what people think about biological properties. You know, this is my opinion, and that's let me actually talk on that just to get a little not off topic. What another thing that really has helped with my transitioning from being so traditionally brought up, like I did grow up feeling that it was wrong to be homosexual, it was wrong to change your sex because, you know, right. As a Christian, I was taught that it's not right, it's not spiritual. So talking right. to help me understand at a scientific and social way how no, actually, there's biological credence to this. Which definitely
yeah. I mean, and I grew up in a household of Islamic household for most of my childhood, and that was a thing too. But I mean, I always had gay or bi or whatever family members and such. And outside of that, when you start taking like when I think I really learned most about it was when I took an ecology and evolution course at UMD. That for some, well, it was more so this. I had to take it twice because I did so bad the first semester. But when I started learning about intersex and from a genetic standpoint, you know, the different chromosomal arrangements or sexual chromosomal arrangements and how like there really isn't just two sexes, there's like 6 in total. And it's a lot of things. It's like and then you start seeing when you start studying animal studies or doing animal science, you see how a lot of other non-human animals aren't on the such binary or sexual binary that, you know, humans have been or been told for the past 200-300 years that everything's, you know, in twos and such, so on and so forth, you know, or even 200 plus years. So yeah, for a long time, our understanding of sex and gender was pushed from a scientific standpoint that were by white patriarchal scientists. So we have a lot of science that's backed by or like from the perspective of white Christian patriarchy. Mm-hmm. So you push this idea that homosexuality is bad is because of the white patriarchy that, you know, has kind of like excluded non-gender conforming or non-binary sex from the history books in a way. Like there's thousands of years of anthropological research that shows there's a lot of other cultures, and not even like just the Native American, there's African cultures, there's Indian cultures, there's, you know, different Asian cultures where trans and intersex people were holy people. These are the medicine men. These are the historians. These were the high priests and high priestess of different cultures. And so it's like, it's the first step to like, it's in a colonial and imperialistic attack. And we see now currently we have this regime in place that's trying to like kill off these people with their laws. They're trying to set up laws that are like trying to take away the ability for these people to get the treatment and the protection that they need. And it's the first thing that Hitler did in 1933. He got rid of the German studies of intersex and sexuality. He burned all their stuff.
Oh, wow.
It was the first attack he did before he attacked the Jewish people after that. So he did that in 1933, and then 1939 is when he went full on genocide against the Jewish people. So basically, the first tact of an imperial colonist is to attack the most disempowerished, disenfranchised people, and see how the public is receptive to that. Mm. And if the public lets it be gone, then after that, you can start attacking who the hell you want. So Trump is just he's just been reading Mein Kampf recently, I guess.
Reincarnated? No, I was joking. But
yeah. I don't know, but he's up there.
And that's another thing I appreciate about you, man. I don't even want to call you woke because I feel like that's just played out by now.
Yeah, I don't like being called woke. I don't like even being called an ally, because it's like, I just feel like what I'm doing is trying to be a decent person. I'm just trying to be a genuine, balanced person. And it's like, it's crazy how what I feel as though should just be like the lowest bar to other people is like, that's not even the lowest bar to them. So a lot of times I feel in like life, I just feel very disconnected from like the rest of the world.
And really, like, you got the knowledge, you got the wisdom, you got the divine insight with the Pisces. You have been one of the influences. I would say my younger Cancer sister, ironically, she graduated from an HBCU. Like, both of them have been instrumental for my social consciousness upgrade, as far as like being aware of race politics and not necessarily. And that helped me too, because I grew up in a Catholic school that majority white, you know, this is what lends me to kind of talk white or sound white, as I was told by people in high school. I don't see it as a bad thing, but there's certain like social stigmas and nuances that I was blind to until, you know, people like you kind of made me realize, wow, you know.
And you know, it's funny because I was born and raised in DC. Been around, is DC, at least in the 80s and 90s, is super black. Like the nickname for DC was Chocolate City at one time, until like 2005 when gentrification really happened. But I had a speech impediment when I was like 2, so I was given special classes, and then I had a tutor who was from Pennsylvania, this older little white lady. and I ended up picking up kind of like her accent in a way, I guess. And she talked very, very proper.
Yeah.
So I tell people I'm from DC, that's from DC. And they're like, "You're from DC?" Because I don't sound like a DC person. I don't have a DC accent unless I'm like really trying to have a DC accent.
Oh, that's Maryland. Never mind.
So
no, that's interesting. I said, "What's up, Mo?" right now, but I think that's.
Hey, what up, Mo? What's good, shout? We're marvelous. I'm about to go get me a glizzy.
A glizzy, word. Philly, DC, their lingo is so interesting.
Yeah, I love DC vernacular. DC, Atlanta, and like New York has just like the funniest things. Oh, and Philly, like I just started picking up like Philly slang. Philly is so funny. How they say wrong. So
say OD or is that?
They say shit. The funny thing about going to Bowie State was that it was like half DC, half Baltimore. So Baltimore people was like, it was such a language barrier at times between DC people and Baltimore people. They'd be like, "What's up, stupid?" And it's like, who are you calling stupid? Like that's it. That's the thing, like buddy or whatever. And we say buddy like, "Hey Mo," like that's how we talk.
Yeah.
Go ahead, you wildin', bruh. That's how we talk. So it's funny. I like languages. I like learning about different like just regional things and just like how language could take on its own form. So besides living in DC, I also grew up next to Jamaicans and Nigerians. Mm-hmm. So I had like a totally like I didn't have just my own African diaspora experience, but I was able to witness and be around people of other African, of the other part of the African diaspora and learn, that too. So I think that also really like pushed my viewpoint on the world and just the Black experience in general. So instead of being in a Christian household, even though the rest of my family was Christian, I was Muslim because of my stepdad's influences. And then growing up with others that were like, other African immigrants and such, or other people of the African diaspora, and just, picking up stuff like that. So, and it helps, I think it's because probably my Mercury's in Scorpio too. So everything is about like, I had to learn everything. Like I'm obsessed with learning like everything.
So I want to ask you, because I want to really get into colonialism and what your thoughts on white supremacy and also the N-word, nigga. I was with a neighbor. He's from like East Europe, really cool dude. But I remember he kind of was like, "Oh, you're my nigga," you know what I'm saying? And this is whatever. And I didn't really take offense to it, but I was like, should I be offended by that?
Right.
It's funny too, because like we're in 2018. So normally you usually see white people take a more like cautious defensive stance. This dude was defending his right to say it. But once again, I don't want to frame it as like I didn't want to, like I see that dude as a friend. So I knew when he said it, he wasn't.
It's hard because like
he wasn't being
he's an immigrant, right?
Yeah, he's from Romania. He's from Romania.
Okay. So because he's probably from Romania and his experiences with Blackness have been through media and stuff like that, we use it as a term of endearment amongst ourselves. So, I mean, him not being in an American or around the American experience between, with race and stuff like that, I can understand why he would think like that. I mean, even like DJ Khaled kind of thinks like that. But I think I was about to say this before, but like race and race talk is such a nuanced thing.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I don't like arguing over the internet anymore, because like it's hard to establish the nuances of a topic. Like I probably would have felt the same way as you. Like I know he's just trying to be friendly, but with me, I probably would approach it by breaking down exactly what like the violence behind the word and how we as like the African diaspora have tried to reclaim it as using it as a term of endearment amongst each other. Like even I still use it sometimes. I mean, I've been trying to work on not using it at all, because it's just I don't know how I feel about reclamation of such a violent word. Yeah.
It's funny too, because like you see mixed, like I've seen white people who get mad if someone says nigga, but then I also see certain people who feel like kind of betrayed, like, hey, I mean it in terms of endearment. So
Right.
that
So
conversation.
around my non-black friends, I make sure I don't use it because I don't want them to feel uncomfortable with it. You know?
Yeah.
Because of the nuances of it, you know? It's like a lot of things get lost in translation. And when you think about something, you have to take in the totality of whatever that subject is.
True.
And it's like, if I really think about the violence behind this word, and even though me and my people have tried to reclaim this word, there's that violence will always be there. So it's like I just try to not. I'm personally trying not to use it, but at the same time, I can't dictate the whole black delegation and be like, y'all shouldn't be using it either and everything like that.
I agree. So, plus, I mean, like there are actual laws being overturned. I think what we say matters less than what's actually being done to, discriminate or kind
of.
So, would you mind kind of going back in time and explaining how everyone today is influenced by the effects of colonialism back in the 1800s, 1700s? Like,
okay,
that's a huge question, but
you want a full history lesson? Okay, let's start with, let's say, late 1500s. The Moors are still in Spain, but the Portuguese are they're their own state. The Portuguese start sending out their navy to map the coast of Africa. I think that's like 1580. Then we have about 600. So not 600. We have about 60 years later. We have Spain is still at war with the Netherlands in the 80s years war. And during this time, the Dutch West India Company is established. And so they discovered the West Indies, after the whole like Christopher Columbus thing. Oh, Christopher Columbus was that 1492, right? Yeah. So even let's go before the Portuguese. So the Portuguese and the discovery that Columbus made goes hand in hand. So with the Portuguese, they was able to map out Africa better, and Columbus goes to these new lands. The Moors who gave him the map, it was actually the Moors in Spain that gave him the map. They knew that the West Indies were there, but he was arrogant and thought he found a shorter way to India, which wasn't the case. So he landed in the West Indies. He's ignorant, so he thinks these native indigenous people are Indians until he realizes, oh no, I'm basically in Cuba. And so he's like, oh, you guys have gold. And so, but the gold that these people had was already all mined out. Like there wasn't any more gold. So he goes and tells the queen that he's working for, hey, these people got gold and they got this thing called sugar, like sugar cane, and it grows like wildfire here in these islands. And they're like, well, let's use our guns and enslave these people, right? So before they can really enslave these people, they're all dying out because of smallpox and syphilis and all the other shit that the Europeans bring with them, right? And so they're like, damn, we need people to work this stuff for us, but where can we get these people from? So they've already had interactions with African kingdoms, and the African kingdoms themselves have basically indentured servants, right? So prisoners of war, Africa is a tribal, or like West African countries based on tribalism, right? So like, for example, Nigeria, how many languages are in Nigeria?
More than like 5. Maybe like 5, 3 main ones.
There's 3 main ones, and then there's dialect after dialect after dialect, right? And all of these dialects are based on the tribes. There's tribal dialects, right? So if you have these tribal warfares and they have these prisoners of wars, right? But when they have these prisoners of war, they can eventually become part of the society that they have become prisoner to, or they become free, or they can become higher in ranks and eventually become like army, military people, or whatever, like, craftsmen, et cetera, right? And so the Europeans basically try to exploit this. And so Spain and Portugal are like, hey, let's buy these people from you. We'll trade you iron, ore, pots, etc., guns, blah, 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 for people. And so the Africans are like, Okay, cool. Like, we don't mind that. But then, let's say after like 50 to 100 years of this, the African nations are like, whoa, you don't treat these people like people. And they're like, so what you going to do about it? And they're like, well, we're not going to help you take people from this land anymore. And they're like, yes, you are. Because of that, we'll raid your land and take your people.
So there was man stealing that happens because
That's when the beginning of the man stealing.
so what's happening now that people don't know their history. People are like, oh well, black people just sold their own into slavery, as if like,
they didn't know what the ramifications of it was going to be at the time. They thought it was going to be how most slavery for the past 2,000 years were, which is basically indentured servitude, right?
yeah, you can't even. Yeah, exactly. It's not like people were. It's not like chattel slavery where people are getting whipped. They serve their term, and like you said, they can be integrated into society afterwards.
Right. Exactly. And so when they found out the ramifications, when the Europeans started building like these naval bases with like huge cannons and like it's thousands of feet and yards of chains of iron chains and like neck braces, when they see these people traveling hundreds of miles across like the desert and jungles in their land, they're like, we can't keep allowing them to do this. And they try to fight back as much as they could. But then the Europeans would just raid and steal people. And this happened for another until like the early to mid 1800s. So basically, by like early 1800s, the UK had stopped with the man stealing. The French was pretty much forced to stop because they lost like basically the only main island that they could grow cane from, and they still had the Louisiana territory in continental America, but they were still in like financial debt because of like the French Revolution and everything like that. And so that's basically why they sold the Louisiana Purchase, or there was the Louisiana Purchase made to America by the French. So the French were in back-to-back wars, right? They was in the French and Indian War. They were in, while they were in the French and Indian War, they had the French Revolution. Then after the French Revolution, they had the War of 1812 that they were involved in. So the French were basically famished financially from all of the wars that they had went through.
That's what.
It's like they had to sell their land, and they didn't have a foot in the race anymore. Brazil was still pretty much thriving until the early 1800s. But by this time, most of the European countries themselves had stopped man capturing, and then the Americas, the United States at this time in 1820 had mandated that they will not bring in any more new slaves, right? So that's where the story of Amistad basically came from. So Amistad was one of the few like slave shuttles that was like illegally bringing in, Americans, bringing in Africans, right? And so that's what the claim with the Africans that were capturing that ship. They were like, no, we were just recently captured, while the white men tried to like, no, these were brought from like Alabama. We were taking them to Mississippi or some shit like that, right? So all of these actions are like saturated in violence and dehumanization, and because of that, it's seeped into the culture that is America. It's in the veins. It's not just in the veins of it. It's in the laws of it. It's in the interracial relationships of it. It's like saturated in everything, and you don't just do 300 plus years of bad shit and then like be like, oh, I'm a good person now.
And let's make America great again.
Yeah. And it's like, not just that, it's like, oh, we're good people now, but you didn't get rid of any of the shit that made you bad before. It's like being in a relationship, right? And be like, I'm gonna be a better person. It's like an abusive person in a relationship saying, I'm not gonna be abusive anymore. But they didn't do anything to undo their abusive tactics before. Like they still are on the low doing like nasty ass shit. So it's like,
and then also not everyone's informed. Some people are ignorant, and then they exploit the people who don't really know their history.
Right. And then it's like the whitewashing. So it's like, okay, we're going to get over our past by forgetting our past. Like, that's not how you get over the past. Like Malcolm X said, he's like, a wound doesn't heal until it starts to cover up. It starts to, scab and everything like that. But with America, they haven't even pulled out the knife that created the wound. And that's still true to this day. Like, nothing has been done to, like, not just with Black people, but the indigenous people. The indigenous people are being treated like shit in their own land. They just transform one type of chattel slavery to another.
Can I ask a question about that? How does the politics of that work? Because if like, as far as I'm concerned, correct me if I'm wrong, this territory is only American because somebody organized 13 colonies, wrote a constitution on a paper, and then basically committed genocide and land snatched from the people here. So does that make us citizens? Does that give us the right to bar other people entrance in this country?
No, not at all. Because like the people that are migrating from, like, let's say Central and South America, they are still attached to this land from 10,000 years ago. It's just that they were the tribes that decided to, like, say, hey, let's keep going further south. Hey, let's keep going further south. You know what I mean? So like, and it's like let's say the state of California. State of California was Mexico until like the mid 1800s. So you're going to tell me that Mexicans in California are like illegal immigrants, even though they were there before literally America was there?
Wow. That's
so we got Texas, we got New Mexico, we got Arizona, we got California.
Yeah.
And Utah. All of those 5 states were Mexico until the what was it? The Mexican War in, like, I think it was like the 1820s, 1830s, something like that.
Yeah. I'm really wanting to play devil's advocate here just so I can find a good reason as to why, people really believe this and outside of ignorance, because it really doesn't make sense. It makes no, like, I'm still trying to figure out why I have a social security number, why I have to really I don't see our government as a government. I see it as like gangsters, because if you don't do what they say, they'll take their police force and then throw you in their prison system. And I feel like
America's a bunch of bookies. It's just the American government is a system set up made by a fucking bookie or something. So basically, your social security number is the same as a business ID. A social security number and a business ID are one and the same. They're both handled by the same department of government, right? The same branch of government, right? America uses its citizens as collateral for its debt.
Oh, so that's actually true. That's not a conspiracy.
Right. That's proven fact. Your social security number is the same thing as a business ID. Wow. Basically, the what is it? The debt that America has is that America is saying that its citizens aren't working enough to pay off the debt. Every person that's an American citizen is collateral for the United States itself.
Wow. And you can't choose that. You're just born there and you get a number.
Exactly.
See, that's what kills me. It's like no one has a sovereign choice at birth. It's like,
right. So taxation is theft when it's coming from the working class.
Oh, okay.
So the libertarians are right partially. When you're taxing the working class, who are literally your collateral, you're from the working class. The people that are supposed to get taxed are the big businesses and corporations, the ones that bring in the money to America. And it's crazy because, like, if you included the debt of the top 500 companies in the United States, America isn't in debt. No. But because the people who are at the top, the quote unquote 1%, are so tactful and they pay off the people that's supposed to be protecting us, they get to keep all of their money. All of them corporations fucking, like, they fucking evade their taxes. Not only do they evade their taxes, they don't follow the laws that they're supposed to that protect their workers.
Or they'll just create
unions and stuff like that. Unions in healthcare. and like paid leave. All of that stuff is supposed to be taken out of the profits of the big corporations, but they don't do that. And they do slick things like, oh, you're supposed to give this stuff to people for full time, but then they'll say they'll only schedule you for 30 hours. So you buy a whole bunch of workers, basically, make them all part-time. You don't have to fucking follow any of the laws that are set in place to protect the workers.
True. And now that leads me into, because you're one of the only ones who have schooled me on the importance of steering away from capitalism. Could you on that?
Yes, you're in the chat now with the biggest anarcho pan-African socialist.
What was that?
I said you're now talking to the biggest anarcho pan-African socialist.
Word. Yeah. That's I was pondering my political idealism the other day, and I realized I fall under the spectrum of radical, which
Oh yeah, I'm like past radical. I'm like off. Like this is radical. This is the clip that's radical, and I like walked slam off of radical.
Oh, weird. That's what's up.
I'm like, we must burn everything down and rebuild it from the ashes.
Yes! Yes! I feel you on that. Pan-African socialism, though. I really that's interesting. So could you give us, because I'm pretty sure like me, certain people may not be as hip. What are the differences between socialism and capitalism? And why is there this propaganda against socialism as if you're evil if you're a socialist?
Okay, so everything has its good and its bad, right?
Yeah.
So capitalism, when it's unchecked, basically drains from the working class. But socialism, when it's unchecked, prevents the progressiveness of a territory or country.
Gotcha.
So basically, socialism unchecked would lead to basically no money circulating throughout the economy of a place, right?
Yeah.
But capitalism unchecked is basically there's plenty of money being made, but only very few are holding on into it. So I'm actually wanting to get more into economic theories. Yeah. And I feel as though, even though I quote unquote align with the socialism, I think socialism in its modern form isn't the answer either. But capitalism is so straight, so far away. Yeah. But I mean, capitalism was made by like a bunch of people who didn't bathe in like the 1700s. So it's like, isn't it time that we made a new economic system that takes into account everything, such as like the high-speed internet age and like the information of the universe being at the fingertips of babes? Like,
so it is right to say that something needs to change about the political system. Like it's not, and do you think we're ready for a one world government and structure?
So that goes into globalism.
Okay.
And at my core, I'm anti-globalism.
Oh.
Because I feel as though people who are their own tribe should run themselves.
Self-government.
So socialism, another thing about socialism is that it doesn't work on a large scale.
Oh, okay.
Same thing with communism. That's why China failed multiple times with communism. It's too big of a country for communism. Same thing with Russia. So when things are too big, communism and socialism doesn't work. When things are smaller, it's a lot more efficient. And I'm in favor of like tribalism, as it's called.
Nice. Okay.
So I feel as though people who are of tribes of themselves should govern themselves, you know, like basically like let's say local and city government. That's where socialism at its best would work. But I mean, there's a lot to it. Capitalism is because the propaganda started in like the 30s and 40s. And one of the things that started that propaganda was the Nazi Party calling themselves socialists, even though they weren't, right?
Oh.
So the idea that the Nazi Party was a socialist party is because Hitler blamed the elite for the problems that Germany was facing, right? So he's like, we're still suffering from World War One. The reason we're suffering from World War One is because of these fucking Jews that financed this war, right? That's basically what he said. That's basically what my triumph is. It's the Jews' fault that fucking Germany is suffering from hyperinflation and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
Even though there were Jewish bankers and Jews in powers, you can't blame a whole fucking religion and commit genocide against the people. He was killing working class Jewish families. Like they had nothing to do with what happened to Germany, right? And the Jewish people were still a minority in Germany at the time. So basically, he called himself a socialist party because he said he was working for the working class, the common German.
Wait. Yes or no? So everyone who says that the Holocaust never existed, that's a conspiracy theory. That's real.
We won't even get into that. And the thing about conspiracy theorists, it's like their heart is always in the right place, but it's like,
where are your facts? Where are your facts? Hustle evidence. Hustle it. I feel you.
Like,
and there's so many views out there.
Oh my God. It's funny. I mean, the biggest conspiracy theorists that irritate me the most are the Hebrew Israelites. Yes. But we'll talk about them some other time. The Hebrew Israelites, they're a wild sect of Black people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Hitler hid his true intentions behind the idea of helping the everyday German. So because of that, the title of socialism was marked bad, even though he didn't follow anything that Karl Marx said. He isn't a Marxist. Hitler was never a Marxist. So it's like, why is people angry at socialism? And so then we have the Communist Party, and that started after the Russian Revolution, right? The Russian Industrial Revolution, which caused hyperinflation because the oligarchy of Russia, he termed the oligarchy, was ruining the common working class people.
Wow.
So because quote unquote Russia was bad and America was good, thusly capitalism is good and communism is bad.
Gotcha.
But all of these quote unquote failed or terrible socialist and communist party had one thing in common. They had a dictatorship. All they did was replace an oligarchy with dictatorship. Of course, something's going to be bad if you have fascism and dictatorship taking on the guise of it. So
that's really interesting, man. It's really, so NK said the Russian mafia is the harshest now that exists. Looks like it's really just the working class people getting screwed over all over the world.
Yes, the working class people. And I feel as though one of the ways to counteract that is that, let's say we have a big corporation, right?
They keep voting. It's like makes it more complicated. Stop voting, people!
So the bad thing about the voting is that a vote is a total voice of confidence in a person or a representative, right?
Yeah.
The problem is how do you know that that person you're voting for isn't incorrigible? Someone can go into the mindset that they have good intentions, right? Yeah. But once they get into a world they've never been in, you have the money, you have the power, you have the greed. How do you know that person isn't going to become encouraged by those items to not do what they said? That's the problem with double agents. Let's say, you know, like spies or whatever like that. You have double agents. Double agents are hard to maintain because they can become enamored by what they're supposed to be fighting against.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about representatives. They're the equivalent of a double agent. You're putting someone that's in an already corrupted infrastructure and hoping that said infrastructure won't corrupt them.
Exactly. As if, but then people say that you have to fight it from within, which if you look at every revolution,
if the system is corrupt, there's no way to fight it.
Thank you.
If the system is been corrupt for not one, not two, but almost 300 years. How the fuck do you fight it?
Every single successful revolution that occurred required some kind of bloodshed or war or from the outside. Even this American Revolution, so it didn't happen from within. So I totally agree. I love how you tied it to them being a double agent because it really makes you think. I mean, think about how Bernie kind of got screwed over from the whole DNC rigging. And
he went to the DNC, but the DNC had already promised Hillary the nomination if she backed Obama back in 2008.
Wow.
The DNC had promised her that nomination for 2012, 2016.
And it's like, how long are American people willing to be lied to? Because they're made to feel like their vote counts when they vote in these primaries.
It starts all the way in elementary school. The American citizen is brainwashed from the primary education level that their system is flawless. We're taught how great our founding fathers are, founding fathers. We're taught how great of a government they made, how they made this revolutionary, never before seen government that was so balanced and so well maintained that it doesn't need to be questioned. And that's not the case. Because first of all, I mean, the Greeks were a republic and the Romans were a republic that had voting in parliaments and all this stuff. So quote unquote democracy wasn't anything fucking new. So on top of that, how do you think of a whole bunch of fucking slave owners that didn't fucking wash their balls? You're trying to tell me that those people made the greatest government of all time?
I swear, bro, like this is, and it sucks because it's rare to meet people who are in the know like this. Like it makes you think, am I crazy? Like why am I weird for not getting? Could you give us 3 examples of how this infrastructure and government is corrupted?
Okay, so let's start with like the Electoral College, right?
Yeah.
Electoral College was made because most of the people in the colonies at the time or new states could not read. All these white farmers, basically only a white male landowner could vote, right? 90% of these people couldn't read or write. Only the scholars could read and write, right? They were just farmers. They owned land, so they had power.
That's true.
Because of that, they made the Electoral College we'll take what these illiterates have voted for and give a good estimation or like a good guess on what they really meant to vote for. That's one. They didn't think into the future where people won't be illiterate, where most people can read and most people won't even own land or, be white. So you have laws based on serving old white landowners, right? Then you still have gerrymandering. You still have voter suppression that's largely active.
To this day.
Georgia just said 30% of their votes weren't taken. And these 30% so happen to come from minority or working class areas.
Wow.
So we have we have gerrymandering, we have voter suppression, and we have the unbalanced structure of the House and the Senate. And then we have the incorrigible people who are almost always elected to the House or the Senate.
Could you say that one more time?
I said that we have these incorrigible people that have voted to the House and the Senate.
Yeah. We need to, you're right, from the ground up, what are these people still doing in Congress with their tenure? And they have all these long years that they're there.
For some reason, Congress doesn't have a cap. After FDR, America was like, whoa there, Kemosabe. We can't have a president for like 15 years. We need to set a limit. But they didn't do the same thing for Congress. So now you have these old farts that are like 50 years in the past, stuck in the past, voting and representing people. People that don't know how to use a Google search are fucking making laws and like passing shit.
But I mean, I feel like this election proves even more again why people don't vote, why people don't feel their vote counts. You have the popular vote win, you have voters depressed, and then they still lose. So
that's how you create voter apathy, where people don't feel the need to vote.
Exactly.
And like, I'm not going to criticize everyone for like I'm not going to criticize anyone for not voting. I can understand why people would be furious about people not voting, but at the same time, who do you trust? You're talking to a Scorpio about trust.
Yep.
How do I know that once you get into the position that you say that you want, you're not going to fuck me over?
Yeah. No, very true. And I mean, it's 4 terms. I mean, it's a term. It's just one vote for us. It's voter narcissistic abuse, like Robin May said. And to my next question for you, bro, is we're at a stage right now where a lot of these dynamics are changing. We're a lot of older. It's all good, bro.
What's up?
Why you leave my door unlocked? My bottom lock was off, and the top lock wasn't all the way on.
I was rushing to the bathroom.
What?
I was rushing to the bathroom.
And then when you heard me, you heard to close the door.
Because I'm like talking. Are you out of breath? You
still have to come back home.
Okay.
I'm not playing.
What's your question?
Yeah, a lot. We're at a place where the stage of people are changing. The older influence is leaving. They've passed their gems to the younger ones they've brainwashed. And then there's this radical new group of youngins, some who don't know anything. Oh, that was your wrong. Okay. And then others who don't necessarily care, or some that are in. So what do you feel? That sounded so convoluted. My question really is, how has white supremacy evolved? Because there's some people who will tell you there is no such thing as white supremacy or racism like that. So do you feel like it's better? Do you feel like it's worse? Do you think, what's a prediction? Where is it coming from, and where are we going with it?
It's still the same. It's just evolved. The only difference is it's not as violent. It's just slightly less violent. But within the past week, we had a synagogue attacked. We had a black man helping out a motorist on the side of the road get shot by said motorist he was trying to help.
Wow.
We had a young boy asking for directions from us to get to school because he was lost, get shot at by the person he was trying to ask.
In 1 week?
We had two people from a black church that was shot. We had the man that was sending bombs to all these people, pipe bombs to people. This is all within a span of a week.
Wow.
So it's like white supremacy is just taking a new form. These past 2 years is when it's been its most overt in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, people are still like, it's 2018. I thought this. No, the 90s and the early 2000s just suppressed it. But we still saw a very large viewpoint of white supremacy after the whole 9/11, event, and how Muslim Americans, brown people, were being attacked. We had people who were Indian, like they weren't even Muslim, because they wore turbans, being attacked. That's white supremacy. Like, how are you going to be so ignorant in yourself that you don't even know who the hell you're attacking? Like, that person is brown, so therefore they're bad.
And just like Luna said, I've been indirectly supporting Trump. I didn't vote for him. I'm never gonna vote. But the reason why I really appreciated Trump is that he made everyone aware of that influence that was still there that people thought was gone.
Oh yeah, it was just suppressed. It was covert.
Yeah. And he brought it out. So it's like, now you can't hide. Now we know who y'all are.
So one of the activists from Ferguson, from the whole Mike Brown case, her son was just lynched in Missouri. That was yesterday.
So people still get lynched now.
Yes.
How is that, bro? How is that
In
different from
2018, because our country is saturated in white supremacy. That's what it's like a chameleon. It changes form and shape and colors when it needs to.
Wow.
So from the 90s to early 2000s, it was just, you know, covert. And then we had the internet age, so mid to late 2000s, the hard bodies white supremacists were able to converge with each other on places like Reddit, the dark web, other forums and groups. So they never gone anywhere. They just went underground. But Trump, because of his rhetoric, has lifted them up from the ashes. They're like the mole people. They're like, the sun has set. So now we could come from our queries.
And, you know, I don't want to just forget what I was going to say, but it's, well, I want to ask Danielle's question, how do we get rid of it? But before that, yes. Do you feel like, I wanted to ask something to the effect of the timing of everything. Oh gosh. Well, while I think about it, how do we get rid of it? Like Danielle asked. Can we get rid of it? It looks like it's, oh, that's what I was gonna say. So it's like, it looks like it might get worse in the future, bro, because you have articles like Vice that say slavery was not that bad an issue. Only working class white people could not afford slaves. This is fact. But it kind of tones it down to it to say that there weren't that many slaves and they weren't really getting lynched, or chattel slavery wasn't really that bad. Black people need to get over it. They're calling it a triangular trade. It's so easy for people to like forget, and then it's like they got the W. They successfully have rewritten history, and even if it's true, no one really cares. So it's like people miss.
It's a chance for the next couple of years. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
I believe that.
The idea that the only way I could see to get rid of it is to burn everything down and rebuild it. But the other way is just to listen to Black women.
And Chelsea Handley said that on Ellen. She said that the Black women for support, because they've consistently been on point.
Black women will always see the world in a way that benefits them, and if you benefit Black women, you benefit all people.
Word.
So it's like, I got a lot of this knowledge listening to Black women. You know, like I didn't learn all of this on my own. I didn't learn this from most men. Most men in my life were misogynists. So I didn't learn any of this until I started listening to Black women. And it's like, the way to get rid of it is to make sure we protect the most disenfranchised people.
True.
So that's why I cap very hard for the trans community, especially the Black trans community.
That's true.
The queer, like no one that's gay or bi or lesbian would have been able to marry if it wasn't for a Black trans woman throwing a brick at police officers in the 50s.
Wow.
They started the revolution. Marsha P. Johnson.
What's her name? Marsha what?
Marsha P. Johnson.
Marsha P. Johnson. Dominic coming with the receipts, y'all. This is awesome. Dominic, you were wrong. You thought you were going to get a lot of downvotes, but it looks like this is a favorite for certain people, which is dope.
We have to protect the most disenfranchised people, and if we do that, it eliminates the stronghold that white supremacy has in culture.
Yeah, that's what I appreciate about you too. Like certain ways that the masculine can be misogynistic, in most ways we could be unconscious of it. So I appreciate every time you've called me out on that, or certain people who I listen to or support. Definitely, you're someone who I can say is very much so a good friend. Dominic is single, ladies, just like Pineapple Rainbow.
Don't do me like that.
No, someone is like, it's Dominic single. So yes, come again, and I'll let you know how to reach him. But let's. I want to talk a lot longer, but let's close with the 3 questions game. We'll take turns asking each other questions. You can start first. It could be about anything. I'll answer. I'll ask, and then yeah.
Okay. What have you seen possibly coming up in this Scorpio season? In like a short reply. This upcoming Scorpio season. Like, what's the thing for this upcoming Scorpio season?
Great question. So we just had Jupiter go over Scorpio. So last November, Jupiter was in Scorpio, and then we had the cycle of the sun, and then Jupiter is at the end of Scorpio, and bam, we're back. So this is like a boss coming back, and it's like, okay, Jupiter, what's the work that you've done in Scorpio? And we are about to be revealing so much. It's almost like there's been a whole year of case study, and then Jupiter and Scorpio is like, after studying humanity for a year, this is what is really coming out as far as like how we connect psychologically. There's a lot of sexual themes this Scorpio season because it's squaring Mars and Aquarius that are coming to terms with, especially involving masturbation and intimacy. And I'm going to mention this in the weekly live. A lot of people, more so than ever, have been reporting auditory hallucinations, feeling they're schizophrenic, when this Scorpio season is like skyrocketing people's psychic ability. Scorpios aren't affected because y'all were born psychic like that. So it's a great question you ask, because like this Scorpio season is the transition to Sagittarius season, where you're going to see Sagittariuses like come out their spiritual closet and just like be full on nudists and just be like, I'm not holding back anymore. Screw you mortals. So yeah, my question for you is, what do you feel is the first step we need to do as a collective in order to really, deal with this disenfranchisement and brainwashing that that affects all races, all nationalities,
right?
Certain classes, but really the working class.
Listen to people not like you. This world is a global state, and that won't change. That's what I'm trying to learn more myself. I have the mentality of tribalism, but I want to learn how to intersect tribalism with a global stance, because we're connected. We have all these wires and this communication. We can talk to anyone at any time now, and we can learn at any time now too.
Yeah.
So the first step I feel as though is to, well, for one, listen to the disenfranchised, listen to the Black women and the Black trans people, and listen to the working class, the poor working class. And that's like partially the secret to Trump's success. He took the ignorance of the white working class in the Midwest and such like that. He listened to them when the Democratic Party wouldn't listen to them. Yeah. And he told them all the pretty words that they wanted to hear, and he ran with it. And he used their ignorance too against them, and he knew that they were susceptible to propaganda, and he used that against them too. Mm-hmm. So listen to the disenfranchised, and we need as a culture to push science more to the forefront. And when I say push science to the forefront, I don't mean that anything else is less important, because the arts is how we communicate to each other culturally. But we definitely have to push more at looking at science and understanding science, not just being reactionary. A lot of people are reactionary to science, and a lot of people fear scientists. And I'm gonna tell you, if there's a bad thing that's happened in science, it's not because of the scientists themselves, it's because of the limitations and holds put on place in scientists. So sometimes a lot of scientists do bad things because they see it as a means. They see it's a means to an end. They care more about the end. So
and science is a field that's experimental. So the whole notion that they'll be wrong, it's normal. It's not like they're supposed to know everything.
Right, and the scientists are like the one of few groups of people that are we want to be wrong. Like our science is set up on the null hypothesis. We don't test for a hypothesis, we test for a null hypothesis. So basically the null hypothesis is the inverse of whatever we believe. So we're always testing against our beliefs. We don't test our beliefs because that's how you get by some. You test against your beliefs.
That's good to know.
So do whatever you can to test against your beliefs in everyday life.
All right. That's beautiful.
Okay. So now I have a question for you, right?
Sure.
Okay. How the hell do you think we'd be able to stay friends for 10 years? How the hell did that happen?
How did what?
How were we able to stay friends for 10 years?
You know what? That's a really good question. Facebook for sure. And let me answer that because I would say my other loyal friend who you know, one of my best friends who I could say our best friend because he's been loyal. And when I mean loyal, like ever since 10 years ago, he's just contacted me. He's talked to me. He's never kept out of touch. Andrew, he's an Aquarius, also from University of Maryland. So yeah, I would say Facebook has helped a lot. Definitely just keeping in touch. I used to be very like closed off too. Like when people would message me, I'd be like, oh, I'm not trying to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. But you know, it's like, I'm glad I didn't say like that because it was over time talking with you guys. I realized you guys are really wise. You have a lot of substance. I think really just kind of connecting at certain points and keeping in touch. But I can't answer that question. How have we? Over 10 years. That's a really good question.
No, I mean, like, because there's a lot of people I had as Facebook friends, and it's even crazier because the Facebook that I have now isn't my first Facebook. I had another one back when we were at University of Maryland, like that started at the end of high school, and I deleted it, and I only added back a few people after that. Back then, I had like 1,500 friends on Facebook.
Oh, word.
And within that 10 years, it's been like 8 years since I deleted it, and this page only has like 700. That's still a lot in my opinion. Like, I'm like, how the hell did I have 700 now? And that's because I started shutting out a lot of people. So it's just surprising that even after that initial deletion and you moving all over the place, we were able to still keep at this.
That's what's up, yo. There's something deeper to that question too, because I know at certain key points in my development, you came through. So I think to answer that, and when I say you come through, like you definitely helped me put things in perspective. And
right.
So I think greatly for that, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think the same thing was. I think it's the same place for me too.
That's what's up. That's what's good. Cosmic. Okay, never mind. So my second question for you is, oh yes. What are your 2 favorite superpowers? Oh, by the way, yeah, it's cool. I feel like we're very light and dark, like with the way we kind of see certain issues. But how like I'm the anime guy or the comic guy, and you just hate Naruto. Like you just don't like.
Oh yeah, I don't like any shonen, so don't even take it personally.
I can't watch shonens anymore because I see the storyline and how it sucks, and then it's like, damn, he's right. Like, yeah. But I'm simple. Like, I don't mind that it's kind of not.
Yeah. Once I got introduced to that deep stuff, like my Mercury and Scorpio, it's just anything deep. Like I'm all for it. I'm also find everything corny because of that. Like everything's fucking corny to me. So I find very little things I enjoy.
It comes at a cost, I see.
But the question was, what were my 2 favorite superpowers?
Yeah.
Okay.
That you may have, or that you just like.
Well, in the comic universe, the Speed Force, like anything related to the Speed Force conduits, like the ability to manipulate the physics around them for speed is like amazing.
To where they can think at like picoseconds or like
auto seconds. That's even faster than a picosecond. That's like 10 to the 5 times faster than a picosecond, I think. Yeah. So they could perceive things in an auto second. Like the world would be standing still if you could perceive something in an attosecond. The attosecond is like the distance between one side of an electron to another.
What?
It's unfathomable. So, okay, what is my superpower that I like? I have really good manifestation abilities, but it's a double-edged sword. Like,
Okay.
I'll manifest something I want,
Yeah.
but I won't get it right away, or I won't get it the way I want it, right?
Okay.
So
Yep.
let's say, for example, when I was like a teenager, like when I first watched 40 Cody, I was like 12, 13. I wanted a moped. Now I have a moped like 15 years later. And then there is, let's say, like, for example, like my love life, like a lot of times I get the woman that I want, but I don't get her in the way that I want her. And I think it's because the universe wants to teach me a lesson about like selfishness, or rather falling in love with your ideas and not seeing the reality of something.
True.
There's a lot of women from my past where I fell in love with the idea of her. I didn't fall in love with the woman. I fell in love with the idea of that woman, or what I thought was that woman. It's two different things.
Wow, I
So
didn't.
the universe would be like, here's this woman you think you love, right? The idea of her. And then like, she's not that. Like,
True.
she's something else. And you have either you're gonna deal with it, or a lot of times the universe puts the situation out of my life because it was just for a lesson.
Yeah.
Like I was supposed to learn. If I wasn't just supposed to learn, I would have had like bootloads of children by now.
Word.
If I wasn't so bad, if I wasn't just being trolled by the universe, I'd probably be a father by now. But I'm glad. I didn't need that. I just needed the lesson. That's all I needed. And that's a good thing, because a lot of guys, they don't learn their lesson. A lot of men fall in love with the idea of a woman, and then they impregnate her based on this idea, and then shit doesn't work out, and now they're fucking karmically attached to this woman for the rest of their life.
Oh my God. Advice we
And then people are suffering. So not just the man suffers, the woman suffers, and then the child made from this thought or idea suffers.
True that. So I guess that's what dating is for, huh?
Yeah, that's why like now I'm trying to master myself. Like I feel mastering yourself is a lonely process. It's solitude, it's isolation.
Lifelong.
Yeah, it's like the 5 stages of grief all at once. And right now I'm isolating myself and I'm trying to learn and master myself. And I don't want to be in love with anyone until I know I am emotionally and mentally able to deal with the ramifications of loving anyone.
True. Very true. That was insightful. I would have never thought that superpowers would turn into the idea. So that was deep.
Yeah.
And now we're on the last round.
Okay, so I have to ask you a question, right? What's the biggest lesson you've learned since you did that last video for me? Remember you made me that video for like the tarot forecast. It was a 3-month tarot forecast, right?
Yeah.
And you did it in like November because I paid you around my birthday.
Yeah.
Since last November, what lessons have you learned since this whole trip around the sun?
Oh my God, that's a great question.
What's the biggest lesson?
I learned that many elements of my lifestyle are complete trash. And that's definitely because a lot of that energy, is in my 6th house in Scorpio. So like I really had to come to terms like, yo, someone's gotta give, bro. Like the way I just kind of like eat and what I do with my life. And I also learned what I learned a lot was I was so into the idea of intimacy and the idea of being with someone that I realized, honestly, I'm so selfish in real life. I don't think I really want to be with someone like I thought I did. And that has just been a mind fuck right now. Like,
oh, it's a big mind fuck because of all of my dreams and goals and everything that I'm working to do, I'm hella selfish. And I'm just like, I can't provide for a woman the way I need to. Like, your life would have to like merge like a puzzle piece in order for it to be like beneficial.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do? Do you focus on yourself until you're no longer selfish? But the problem with that is once you fall in love with the darkness and the isolation that comes with mastering yourself,
I'm addicted.
you become addicted to being alone. The idea of sharing your space and time with someone is just like so radical.
But that's exactly what has happened though. So like I've isolated myself so much that like once Venus retrograded on my Juno, and then Jupiter went through my seventh, it's like, oh my gosh, like I thought I wanted a relationship my whole life. I'm so addicted to solitude. It's like I
Yeah.
I was cuddling the other day and I was like, why this is damn. I thought I would really, really like this, but it's like, damn, I like it. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. I like it.
You enjoy it, but it doesn't sustain you. It doesn't feel you the same way as before.
And
it's a switch. It's a switch. Yeah.
Switch for real. And I feel like, and then my fear came up and it's like, wow, like what if I did meet the love? I was like, I could easily see myself meeting the love of my life. And then in 2 months, I'm like, yeah, I'm just not into it anymore. So that was good for me. That was like, okay, I released it and I'm really just ready to dedicate myself more into self-mastery. That's what I learned. Like I do want to be in a position where I can provide more myself. I did learn ever since then how my selfishness and, my own capacity to be a fuckboy in some cases have kind of held me back from connecting with real friends with my family. And, I'm ready to work on that. And I won't discount the cool stuff I've done too. So I'm going to work on amplifying that. But yeah, great question, bro. It's definitely a eye opener. And it made me respect more relationships and how hard it could be to maintain.
Oh, it's so hard. And not many people are ever ready for it. Like people think they are. Everyone's in love with the idea in their head, but that reality is a motherfucker, yo. It's a motherfucker for everyone, yo.
Yeah, oh yeah. And my last question for you, bro, is what are your 3 favorite signs and your 3 most challenging signs?
The most challenging signs are for sure Scorpio, Aquarius,
and Virgo. Virgo's back on the list. All right.
Virgos are so fucking organized and like a toxic Virgo is a hell of a thing to fight against. It's like it's almost as bad as a toxic Aquarius. Too fucking smart, too fucking organized, and they never back down from an argument. And with them, like if you don't see the world in their way, then you're just an idiot. And it's just like, what's wrong with you? Like Scorpio, because Scorpio has the potential to be the best sign there is, but they have the chains around them that is their toxic attributes. Jealousy, manipulation, fear. Those if a Scorpio can overcome the toxic human elements of being a Scorpio, then they can like really get somewhere in life, but very few can do that. And then Aquarius, they're just secretly evil and no one knows it. Like they're so good at hiding how evil they are.
Aquarius?
Yes.
No, but see, it's a shame because I've been joking about this forever. And it's that reason why Aquarius is one of my favorite signs. Because like I kind of respect that. It's the evil genius that has brought up monoliths and empires and just secretly manipulates human beings and mortals. And as aliens they are, it's like they will never get caught. They will never get caught. And they know it.
Yeah. So it's like, well, I'm pretty sure the Zodiac killer was a damn Aquarius.
Yeah. Like Libra will get caught because they got unlucky. But Aquarius will never get caught. Like ever. Like Libra will just have that bad day where just something happens.
Libra will get caught because they had the impulse to tell someone the corrupt shit they're doing and then it gets blasted.
Yes.
Beaver can't keep your mouth shut long enough to fucking be corrupt.
They gonna rap about it in a song.
Rap about it for a long time. You dumbass. Okay, so my 3 favorite signs. I rock heavy with Capricorn. I've never had a Capricorn be toxic in my life. I rock heavy with Leo because they're just boisterous Scorpios.
Yeah.
They're like Scorpios, we're secretly narcissistic. We're secretly like, I'm the shit. I'm better than everyone. But Leo would like bust through the door. Hey, bitches, the main man is here.
The way they talk too, like my life is so much better than you. Like I got this going on. As a Gemini, I can appreciate it because it's like I feel you, but it's like, damn, y'all really don't care. Like,
yes. Oh my god. And I think people hate Gemini, but I secretly love Gemini.
Like, I didn't expect to say Gemini. I expected Leo, but that's interesting.
Yeah, Gemini, Leo, and Capricorns are the 3 that I like the most. Scorpio, I love my sign so much because we have so much badass shit about us. But the people who are Scorpios they're too attached to their humanity to like fulfill the great prophecies of the Scorpio book or some shit. I don't know. They could be so much better, but they're just so bad. They're just so stuck into their toxic human traits.
They can be until they like transform. Once they transform, they usually get it. I love how
when they transform, it's badass, but
it's like a redemption thing. But
yeah.
You mentioned the King Kungs, Leo, Capricorn, and Gemini. They're a triad, which is awesome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so how can people reach you if they want to talk to you? Do you offer any services right as of now, or like what's up with you?
How can people reach me?
If you want to, I know you're Scorpio too, so you got it.
Like they can add me on Facebook, but I'm gonna be hella selective. Like I'm gonna go through your whole page before I add you. This first thing, like friend requested me.
Put your Facebook link in the description.
You can, and later you can update this video. I'm gonna add my experiment page. So experiment is kind of like a Kickstarter for scientists.
Nice. Yeah, whenever you give me that link, I'll update it.
Yeah, and then my Instagram, that's the best one. So I have 2 Instagrams. One is for track and one is for personal. So Emperor Wolf is the personal one. Emperor Wolf with a U. And then there's C Wolf Run, SEE Wolf with a U Run, and that's my track page. So Facebook and IG are the best ones. And then my Snapchat is also Emperor Wolf. And so is my Cash App if anyone wants to help out a broke person, because I'm like really bored.
Actually, are you in graduate school right now? Are you still working on that?
So I'm at GW writing my master's thesis on nanoparticles.
On what particles?
Nanoparticles.
Genius. All right, cool.
I'm working at the DC Forensic Science Lab. That's the lab I work in for my nanoparticle research. I'm still learning all this shit, and so it's frustrating, and I'm impatient because like I should know everything right now, right? Like that's how I think. And then I tutor part-time, and then I do like Uber Eats part-time. So I work 4 jobs and I'm training for the Olympics. Or rather, I work 3 jobs, go to school, and training for the Olympics all at once.
Damn. Well, no one can say you're not working. No one can say you're not.
There's people like hard body arguing in the chat, but
you beat that? That's interesting. I was trying to like.
I'm not even gonna comment on it because it's a lot.
Some silent drama brewing, but it's all. I have updated the Peace Talk with the links, so hit him up. As you can see, really cool dude. And do you have any final word of advice for anybody on their journey, whether spiritual or personal. Or
oh my God, it's painful as hell. It's if you go about it the right way, it's lonely. Don't fall in love with the darkness of the isolation. Like that's how you become a supervillain. Like there's been times I've contemplated, forget this medical science stuff. Let me just build weapons and be a supervillain and let the world burn. But no, that was me falling in love with the darkness of isolation.
It's tempting, bro. It's so tempting.
So tempting. It's so tempting. Read a lot. One of the few books that I started off reading. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm coming right back. I got some books I want to show. Okay, so I started off with Body Mind Mastery. It's written by Dan Millman. It's about becoming in tune with your bringing your body, spirit, and mind, mental, physical, emotional states, trying to align them all at once. Of course, The Art of War, basic bitch philosophy shit. Everyday Enlightenment, the 12 gateways to discovering yourself. Also written by Dan Millman. Dan Millman's a Buddhist, so it's a lot of Buddhist applications of talk. So the 12 gateways, he says, is discovering your worth, reclaiming your will, energize your body, manage your money, tame your mind, trust your intuition, accept your emotions, face your fears, illuminate your shadows, embrace your sexuality, awaken your heart, and serve your world.
Love your world.
Yeah, serve your world. Serve your world.
Serve your world. Oh, that's what's up.
Charles Darwin, The Origin of Species. This is how to understand the balance. This is more so the science of it has a lot of the science and it's been kind of like disproven or altered in a way. The basis of it is good because it's talking about the balance of the environment, our planet, and that translates to the universe. You want to understand capitalism and colonialism, The Prince by Nikolai Machiavelli.
Oh wow.
And then How to See Yourself for Who You Really Are by His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Cool.
So this is merging the ideal with the reality. It's a balance thing. So that's the biggest thing with a lot of people. It's all about balance. And if you're trying to really change, you have to be super duper honest with yourself. Like you gotta be hard on yourself to understand yourself. Like you gotta not be reactionary. Everyone's reactionary when it comes to criticism. Listen, reflect, meditate. And if it's something you feel as though is worth changing, you'll change it.
Genius. That's beautiful, man. Thanks again, man. This is a really awesome piece. I didn't expect to go close to 2 hours, but
right. I was only expecting an hour, but it is. I know my ass can talk, so I should have known.
All right, well, that's it. I think our
I have Way of the Peaceful Warrior too, Lisa.
Okay, and
Dan Millman, he's kind of he was an Olympic gymnast. He also coached at Stanford, gymnast. In one of his books, he kind of goes into like his whole divorce and everything with his wife and understanding love and like loving the person and not the idea of the person. That's what I meant by like understanding the ramifications of romance and not getting into a relationship until I feel as though I'm emotionally and mentally secure enough to do that. You gotta be ready for anything. You gotta be ready for death. You gotta be ready for infidelity. And when I say being ready for infidelity, I'm not saying you should keep the person they cheat on, but not letting the heartbreak change you as a person.
Okay. I feel that too. Like not making it seem like it's impossible, but not letting it destroy you. Yeah. But
yep.
Yeah, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. This was definitely awesome peace talk. And yeah, until next time, as always, peace out, y'all.